Infantino has to go, and you need a new president. And I think you can get a president who is better than Gianni Infantino, because you just need a president who, when someone says to him, President, do you think it's a good idea for Cristiano Ronaldo to play in the first 2 games of the World Cup when he's banned? You need the president to go, no, that's not going to happen. Do you think Florent Balogun should play when he's banned? No. Do you think tickets for the World Cup final should be $1 million? No, not on my watch. Do you think Donald Trump should get a FIFA Peace Prize? No, that's not happening. Do you think the World Cup should be 64 teams? No. Do you think the World Cup should be held on 3 continents? No.
So do you think
it's simple?
Bad decision. Not good for the sport, bad decision by FIFA.
Absolutely not. Should the World Cup balloon to 64 teams? No. Should it be spread across 3 continents? No. It's not complicated. Now picture this, the biggest football nations on earth all making the exact same move, at the exact same time. Spain reigning world champions. France. England. Germany. Italy. Chapter 2, the plan that blew up in his face. Can Gianni Infantino even survive this as FIFA president? UEFA says they've lost all confidence in him. His World Cup scheme is dead in the water, and now he might actually face a vote to remove him. The next FIFA election is set for March. Infantino was supposed to walk in unopposed. But 43 of FIFA's 211 member nations can force an emergency vote of no confidence. UEFA, CONCACAF, and the AFC have all turned on his proposal. The only thing missing now? Someone credible enough to run against him. The plan to sell off a chunk of the World Cup, reportedly dead. The real question, is Infantino's time finally up? Some of the richest, most powerful football nations on the planet have delivered the same brutal message: we're not showing up to the 2030 World Cup. This wasn't a threat. It wasn't posturing. It was an official stance, and it's just the beginning. 5 nations. Out of 55. You call this tournament inclusive, welcoming? Are you embarrassed by what's happened? Have you lost control of your own event? Instead of a handful of teams grumbling, the entire UEFA membership reportedly locked arms in one meeting, every single nation backing the same call. So what could push Europe's most powerful football body to the edge of boycotting the biggest event in the sport? It starts with a proposal that set the internet on fire. Chapter 3, the $20 billion bombshell. On Tuesday, Infantino unveiled a plan for FIFA's future, and it's a doozy. Instead of FIFA keeping full control of the World Cup's commercial rights, those rights would move into a brand new company, FIFA Forward Enterprise. Here's the kicker: FIFA wants to sell roughly 20% of that new company to private investors. Price tag? Around $20 billion. Let that sink in. A slice of the World Cup sold to private equity. And who's leading the deal? A fund tied to Joshua Kushner, founder of Thrive Capital. Yeah, that Kushner family. This is a man who cannot read the room. Shame isn't in his vocabulary. You cannot embarrass this guy. He's shameless. Long before this World Cup deal, the Club World Cup was his brainchild too, a cash grab that should have been shelved. Remember the World Cup draw broadcast? Peak cringe. It showed a man completely oblivious to the room laughing at him, not because he wasn't making money, but because of how he carried himself. And it didn't stop there. What he did during this World Cup did more damage to the game's integrity than anyone's bank account could measure. An absolute disgrace, yet he strutted around like he was untouchable. Joshua Kushner is Jared Kushner's brother, son-in-law to the President of the United States. Strip away the corporate spin and here's the picture: the biggest sporting event on the planet, built by generations of players and fans, potentially handing commercial control to a private fund with direct ties to the White House. FIFA, of course, isn't calling it a giveaway. Infantino's calling it a major opportunity for football's future. Chapter 4, no consultation, no transparency. FIFA claims that if its 211 member associations approve, the money flows straight back into the game. We're talking about numbers nobody has actually verified. $40 million per federation over 12 years? Nobody's checked that math, it's being used as a bribe, plain and simple. Infantino hasn't fixed his problems with UEFA, he's doubled down. Now he's blaming the media and pointing to a planned consultation. But 53 days? That's not a consultation, that's a rubber stamp. The deal's already got bankers lined up, names attached, there was never any real consultation. FIFA says each association could pocket over $80 million across 10 years, with a major funding boost for smaller nations. Tempting on paper. But then came the catch. Member associations had until September 19, just over 6 weeks, to approve a deal that would permanently reshape who controls the World Cup's money. And reportedly, the confederations weren't even consulted before the announcement dropped. For most football leaders, this wasn't just about the cash. It was about being blindsided. Chapter 5, Europe says no. UEFA didn't wait around. On Thursday, they called an emergency virtual meeting with all 55 member nations. Over 50 reps spoke and the vote was unanimous: support a boycott of the 2030 World Cup and any other FIFA competition while this proposal stays alive. They also demanded FIFA scrap the plan entirely and guarantee, in writing, that its competitions will never be privately owned. UEFA's message was blunt: the World Cup cannot be treated as an investment product. That's the whole fight in one sentence. One side sees the tournament as an asset ripe for outside cash. The other sees it as something sacred, built by generations, not for sale. And the stakes are massive. If Spain, France, England, Germany, Italy, Portugal, the Netherlands, and Croatia all sit out, the World Cup as we know it is unrecognizable. Losing that much star power could gut the tournament's appeal, its global audience, and every dollar investors were counting on. The first casualty? Not even the men's game. FIFA's calendar includes the 2027 Women's World Cup in Brazil, plus youth tournaments before then. If the boycott holds, those events get hit first even though the players had zero say in any of this. Critics say women's football is being turned into collateral damage in a power struggle that has nothing to do with them. Chapter 6, The Revolt Spreads. This isn't just Europe's problem anymore. CONCACAF, 41 members strong, including co-hosts USA, Canada, and Mexico, held its own emergency meeting and rejected the proposal outright. They stopped short of a full boycott, but the message was clear: bad process, brutal deadline, zero governance. Then the AFC 47 members, usually FIFA's biggest ally, backed UEFA and CONCACAF too, demanding a full review of how these decisions get made. Added up, UEFA's 55, CONCACAF's 41, the AFC's 47, that's 143 of FIFA's 211 members standing against this deal. And FIFA needs a majority to pass it. The math isn't on Infantino's side. Chapter 7, Cracks inside FIFA itself. Then came the resignation. Carlos Cordero, senior advisor to Infantino and FIFA's man on the 2026 World Cup task force, quit, and publicly urged others to speak up if they shared his concerns. Suddenly the uncontested 2026 election doesn't look so uncontested anymore. This isn't Infantino's first rodeo with controversy. In 2021, he pushed for a World Cup every 2 years. UEFA killed it. He also pushed the 48-team expansion through, with talk of going even bigger. Critics see a pattern: big announcements first, real debate never. To be fair, FIFA has a case too. They insist this isn't about lining FIFA's pockets, it's about funding smaller federations who can't compete with Europe's financial muscle. Infantino frames it as a proposal to consider, not a decision being forced through. FIFA insists nobody's selling football, just bringing in outside investment for commercial rights. And private investment genuinely has transformed modern sport for the better in plenty of cases. Some also point out Europe's richest federations have their own money to protect here too. Nothing about this fight is simple. Chapter 8, Who really owns the World Cup? There's a real conversation to be had about funding football's future and getting more money to smaller nations. That debate isn't going away. But for most critics, it was never really about the investment itself, it's the timing and the process. A $20 billion deal, dropped despite record profits, with a 6-week deadline and zero consultation with the confederations who actually run the sport. So here's the real question: who gets the final say on the World Cup's future? For millions of fans, the answer isn't FIFA's boardroom. It's the generations of players, coaches, and supporters who built this tournament from nothing. It's the fans packing stadiums. It's the small nations chasing a lifelong dream just to qualify. It's the players who give their careers for one shot to wear their country's badge. FIFA's job has always been to protect the game, not sell pieces of it. Supporters of the deal say fresh investment could secure football's future. Opponents say some things should never be up for sale. However this plays out, it's already one of the biggest firestorms football has seen in years. Infantino expected everyone to fall in line. Instead, the entire sport turned on him at once. So, your turn. Was this a genuine push to fund football's future, or did FIFA cross a line it can't come back from? Drop your take in the comments, because every opinion adds to this one. And if this breakdown hit different, smash like, subscribe, and hit notifications. We're covering the biggest football drama as it happens. With the September deadline closing in, this story is nowhere near over. See you in the next one.